Okay, welcome back to my California native plant garden in the Central Sierra Nevada foothills. This is, of course, my attempt to document the development of this garden at least once a month to do a kind of overview video, and it's December, so it's time to do a quick update. Last month we planted a lot of new plants, which was toward the mid to the end of November. November, December, January, that's when you really want to get the plants in the ground in California because you want to get them in before that first big rainfall and give them sort of the whole winter, rainy season and spring to get really firmly established before the heat comes in and, you know, deep fries everybody that isn't fully established. So that's where we are right now. It's a sleepy season, but yeah, I don't know. I'll show you what's going on. Almost exactly 1 year since this garden went in. I will turn this off until my neighbor stops vacuuming. Let's start over here. We don't usually start over this way. This is the Ceanothus Ray Hartman. Ceanothus is one of the plants that does grow more in the winter time, so we'll see hopefully a little bit more development on the Ceanothus. There's one of the two Artemisia californicas. Not all of the tips have been nibbled off by deer, which is great, but some of them have been. I don't know if it's deer or squirrels or what, but some of the growth tips are getting eaten, which is a bummer, but not all of them. Jury is still out, I would say, on my California Buckeye. There are buds. I think they're alive. We'll find out soon. This guy should be leafing out probably in the next 1 to 2 months if it is still alive. It is summer deciduous. Here's the Salvia leucophylla, the purple sage. This is the Figueroa variety, just went in a few weeks ago. So getting established, looking a little bit better. Here's the Toyon. I think this is the plant that Hollywood is named after. It appears to be one of the plants that puts on growth in the fall and in the winter. So I'm excited to see this guy get more developed. It's been kind of sleepy for most of the year. There's the Artemisia tridentata. Hasn't really done a whole lot in the past few months. I think it's probably one of the ones that'll pick up in the spring. I'm not sure, we'll see. Over here, there's the buckwheat, and we do still have some blooms on this one. This one looks better. This one looks great. That one over there, not so much. Not sure what this guy's doing. It is still alive though. Just isn't thriving for some reason. Back there, the Brandegee sage. Again, this one just went in a few weeks ago. It was bigger than I like it to be for a new plant. There's the Western azalea. This guy's a question mark. I think very delicious, and people are eating him. So I'm not sure if he's gonna make it. Here's the woolly sunflower also being consumed. Looked much better than this just a couple weeks ago. And we have some serious munching throughout the entire plant. Salvia gracias is so reliable. I love Salvia gracias. This is the one that had been doing really well all year. And has just recently started to decide that certain parts of it are the places where it's not gonna invest its energy. And so we've started to see some spots die out. These are the common yarrow. There's still shoots here, but they have been nibbled on. So these ones don't look that terrible, and especially this one down here, probably because it's sheltered by this tarweed, and the deer hate the tarweed, so they'll stay away from it. And the ones up at the top of the hill where I planted the red velvet, it was a variety of yarrow. Those ones are gone. There's nothing left of them at all. The deer have consumed them in their entirety. Up here we have a monkey flower. Maybe it's too dry. Maybe I should run the irrigation. But there are certain parts of this garden that are too wet. Okay, here's a puppy coming back from a seed packet from last year. And right here, there's another poppy that's coming back from last year from a seed packet. This is actually the remnants of last year's poppy. And yeah, still there. I'm gonna like shelter it a little bit. Hopefully that will discourage anybody from eating the young poppy. So this is Penstemon GMR White. I planted 2 more of those right here and right here. These ones don't look great, but this one's got some new shoots, some little new growth down there. These things seem to be pretty resilient, but somebody did come through here and do that, whatever that is, some sort of attack. There's that Rudbeckia. Here's our Penstemon pseudospectabilis. That's desert Penstemon. We should be getting blooms on these in about a month to 2 months, I think. And I think this one is being attacked by the deer more frequently than that one. It's about location, I think. Ceanothus skylark, really glossy, tiny leaves. Super pretty. Get to focus on them. There we go. And this is what happened to our volunteer sunflower. Every leaf has been eaten off. Here's that Penstemon Catherine de Lamar, also has been eaten, all the growth tips. Here's what the new growth looks like before they eat it. And then they will eat it, and then it will look like that. Dear, what are we supposed to do? I'm not quite sure. Just keep trying, I suppose. Eleanor monkey flower. This one looks awesome. This is the time of year for it. This wild phlox has continued to thrive, and I'm wondering if it is a perennial. It came out of a seed packet and doesn't seem to be able to be consumed in its entirety. So maybe it will survive. There's our Penstemon atonii. Hasn't done much yet. That's been in the ground for about 3 or 4 weeks. Here's Whitford Gilman sage. Going on year 2. This one went in a little bit later though, so it's probably about 8 or 9 months compared to those sages, which are almost at exactly 1 year. That's the Starlight sage, and that's the Pozo blue sage right behind it. That's Penstemon spectabilis. Hasn't quite found its groove yet, I don't think. The Monica manzanita is putting on a lot of new growth right now, so it's just about time. You can see it's almost to the top of this enclosure. Really want to keep this guy enclosed until it has a lot of structure and height, because these are very slow growing and I don't want the deer to wipe it out. But lots of new woody growth down there at the bottom. You can see it's really kind of filling out. Our 2 white sages are surprisingly doing pretty well. We have shoots down here at the bottom, which are developing, and I don't see any die off yet. Maybe this is the year. In the shady part of the garden, there's the Dar's Choice sage. Does not look as good as some of the other ones. I think it might be because it's shadier and wetter. It wants things to be just right. There is our blue elderberry. That's a beautiful, beautiful plant. And there's the yellow-eyed grass. Not doing terrible. It's turning a little bit purple. Clearly more sun than it was used to at the nursery, but does seem to have put on a little bit of new growth since I got it in the ground, so maybe it will be happy there. There's the new hummingbird sage that I put in to replace the one that died last year, but these older ones are doing awesome, the ones that are on year 2. This is going to be the big story for the next few months, is controlling the weeds as they start to come in. It's going to be a non-stop journey. Here's the Ribes aureum, the golden currant. Went in about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We need to get a much bigger cage for the coffee berry. This one, it wants to go out, you can see, but everywhere that it hits the side of the cage, that's where it's getting eaten. There's another Salvia leucophylla, that's another purple sage. That's, oh no, that one, wait. I think this one might be Figueroa, and that one up there might be Point Sail. And then over there, that's where we put in the button bush, which was immediately consumed. The button bush may be a non-starter. It is deciduous, so kind of like the Buckeye. We'll see if it bounces back next year. And then out here we have one of the two things, well, I guess there's three things that are currently blooming in the garden. This Allen Chickering sage continues to bloom. It's been a total rock star this year, especially in the late season. The other things that are still blooming are the hummingbird sage over there. Those are those tall spikes. And then up there's a Rudbeckia or a black-eyed Susan, some sort of a coneflower that came out of a seed packet that's still blooming too. There's the Brandigee sage. This one is probably on about month 6 or 7. This guy, this is a Datura wrightii or a sacred Datura. These have those big trumpet-like white blossoms and really grow in the depths of the summer when nothing else will bloom. That's when you get sacred Datura blossoms. So right now they're just going to seed. We'll collect some of these seeds and see if we can, whoop. Oh, just, yeah, I guess they're ready. Oh yeah, look at all those. Maybe we'll get a little family next year. Thing that's blooming number 4, this is almost always blooming though. This is the lipstick sage. That's a Mexican variety of sage. Chaparral honeysuckle. I am going to give this guy a bigger cage this year. This is a native. There's the new lavender that we put in, which instantly died. Something about my yard that kills lavender, and I don't know what it is. Rosemary. That guy's been kind of a winner. And this mugwort has been just awesome. And starlight sage, putting on new growth. There's a coreopsis there that gets eaten as soon as it does anything. And up here, it's been a while since we've said hello to these guys. That's a interior live oak. That was just a stub when I moved in because the deer ate it. Then we put this fence up, and so now it's been given a fighting chance. Same thing for these Ceanothus leucodermis, which, look at the size of this guy. He's probably, I don't know, 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall. Finally putting on some structure. These are the ones that grow in my area. I'll show you what they are, what they look like when they're fully grown. This one is just about at the end of its life, I think, but I've left it, even though most of it's dead, because it creates some habitat for the local wildlife. This is where all the quails live. You can see them. Hey, quails. Hey, guys. Oh, there they go. So this is a really mature Ceanothus leucodermis. Look at this super mature manzanita. We have a white leaf manzanita as the manzanita that's super native, super local here. This is what an interior live oak does. They're multi-trunked by their nature. So it's getting to be that time of year when the actual endemic species and the super local plants start to come back to life. This whole area will explode with fiddleneck and popcorn flower, especially over there. This is sort of the popcorn flower zone. This is the fiddleneck zone. You can see there's green stuff peeking up through. I did a little bit of work up here. You can see what this looked like before I did it right around there. So we did put those rocks in last year, but because we didn't keep up with the weeds and we didn't have enough mulch, this grass really popped up. So to try to mitigate that and reduce the amount of work I have to do to maintain the appearance, I came through and put weed barrier under the rock and under the fence so that I won't get grass popping up in the fence line. Here's what it looks like before I mulch over it. There's just one thin strip of weed barrier. I don't want to put a lot of weed barrier down, but I want to put enough to make this easier to maintain. And then the theory, we'll see how this works this year, is that I can weed whack on this side of the stone, and then there shouldn't be any weeds that pop up on this side between the rocks and the fence. So Brandigee sage going on year 4. There's another one going on year 4. I think it's probably time to water up here. We haven't had rain. Probably about 6 feet around. Huge Brandigee sage. Here's a bee's bliss right here. And probably about 4 feet around. Very low growing. I need some more stuff up here. There's a celestial blue that's in the wrong spot. It barely blooms at all. Here's a coyote mint. Not really in its season. And this is what the monkey flower looks like when it's in its dormancy, but it's starting to pop back up. There's some green stuff happening on it. This is a desert mallow right here. Not really suited for this environment, but that's okay. And then I've just got a few deer grass up there. Oh, and we put in the pussy paw. Let's see how that's doing. Not great. Oh no, what happened? Looks like somebody ate you. Oh, bummer. Well, we tried. You're still alive. All right, let's turn this on for a little while. The white sage that has done the best, which is not great. Over there, there's our California red bud, about to drop its leaves for the year. Typically try not to, during the summer, and don't water during the day. Try to water at night so that you retain the moisture. I think I have the opposite problem during the winter though. I'm worried that if I water at night, it might have too much water right at the crown, and there's not an opportunity for that water to evaporate. And I don't want it to kind of rot the crown of the individual plants. So that's why I'm watering during the daylight. That's my theory. It could be entirely wrong. I guess this is bloom number 4. That's some alyssum. It came out of a seed packet. Just kind of popped up here. Oh, I guess we have blooms here too. So this is bloom number 6. Thing that's blooming number 6. This is a Winifred Gilman sage. And you're going into year 3. So this is the end of year 2 for this guy. There's our starlight. Last year was a hugely prolific bloomer. And then kind of died off, like in kind of spectacular fashion, but it's got a lot of new growth popping up this year, so we'll see how it does. Here's a Salvia gracias going into year 3. And over here, these are the red velvet yarrow, which have been destroyed. There's nothing green left of them. I guess there's a little green here. You can see little baby yarrow leaves down there. But the animals, the local wildlife has completely consumed the rest of them. There's Salvia gracias there. Purple needlegrass. Brandigee sage. It's about 6 months since that was planted. Salvia gracias. Salvia gracias again. Here's that Ceanothus dark star going into year 3. Has never enjoyed itself here. This manzanita needs a much taller cage. You can see we're getting the growth nodes eaten off. It's probably a high priority to get a taller cage on this one because it's got a lot of structure going into year 3 and has a lot of potential. So the big story for the next couple months is actually going to be more, we're probably going to be doing a lot of videos on wildflowers and sort of the native stuff that's popping up here. You can see we did have a rain, so in the shadier spots and by rocks we have green popping up, mostly invasive grasses, but there are some native plants that manage to compete with the invasives scattered throughout, and this whole yard's going to look completely different in about 2 months. This whole thing is going to be popping with wildflowers and grass. It'll be really pretty for a very brief period of time, so I'll make sure to capture some of that. Okay, so I'm not sure how I'm going to manage to edit that into useful December update footage, but that's the update.